Many people in the room have moved to Nashville, sight unseen for their careers. So if you could give 2 pieces of advice to someone who has just moved here or is about to move to the South, what would they be? And we're going to start with you, Eric.
That's a good question. I have a lot to attribute to my family and my wife in particular. I had lived here before, so when we relocated back from Southern California, I was like, look, our kids are young. Let's get closer to Brentwood. I'm going to work a bunch. And she said, I'm not moving twice. So we bought in Franklin in Ladd Park, and thank God we did. When we did. So if you're considering, I would probably try to buy a place as quickly as you can, because the trajectory of Nashville is only going up. And in the event that there is, a hiccup that we deal with, within our nation, Nashville is, the last in and the first out. And so it's cool to be part of a place like that.
So my first piece of advice is geared towards people who are considering a move to Nashville. And I know that there are a few of you in the audience today. When my husband and I decided that we'd had enough of New York City and we were looking for a new place to live and Nashville was on our list, we got a lot of negative feedback. And so my advice is, do not be discouraged by that negative feedback. People will have opinions, and they may think that you're not making the best decision. Maybe it's not a decision that they would have made. And it may even be people that are very close to you, your family, your dear friends that you've known your whole life. And you should listen, of course, but just take every piece of advice that you get with a grain of salt, because I cannot tell you how many people who told me such extreme things like, you're destroying your career, you're ruining your life by moving away from New York City, now tell me, wow, you did something really, really cool and you made an incredible move for yourself, and I was wrong. So don't get discouraged. If you're considering it, you may get some negative feedback, but again, take it with a grain of salt and just do what feels right to you. And then my second piece of advice is more so geared towards the folks that are already here and maybe those who are new to Nashville. And that is that Nashville is a big, small town, and you just never know who knows who here. I'm working on a transaction right now where it's just incredible. The seller knows the lender, and the appraiser knows the seller, and every turn I just keep meeting people who grew up together or their grandfathers were friends, and you don't really get that in bigger cities. I mean, I can't think of one transaction in New York that I worked on where everybody seemed to know each other and have some familial connection. That always happens in Nashville. It is growing, the city's getting bigger and bigger, but it's still a big, small town, and so be very mindful of your relationships and just keep that in the back of your mind, because you never know who knows who, and you could say something that could come back to bite you.
I think for me, the biggest advice is get plugged in. So my firm, we have recruited and relocated hundreds of executives and professionals to the Nashville area, not just with my company, but even with my previous corporate jobs. Everyone wants to move to Nashville. And something that my team and I would always coach these moving professionals would be get plugged into the community, because I have yet to see a friendlier, more welcoming city than Nashville. And so I suggest, hey, if volunteering is your thing, I can guarantee you have a passion, there's a nonprofit for it. If entrepreneurship is your thing, right? You're an early stage entrepreneur, then the Entrepreneur Center in Nashville is a great resource. I'm personally part of Brain Trust. Thank you, Sherry. But if you're a female entrepreneur trying to grow your business, Brain Trust is a great resource, right? So there's just so many different ways to get plugged in professionally. And then personally, I've never seen anything like this before, but so many subdivisions here have very active social media pages where they post neighborhood events and things like that, and just staying active on those social media pages. That's how I made a lot of our neighborhood friends and our kids' parents' friends and things like that. So I would say that would be my advice.
I mean, it's similar to the two of them. I would say get plugged in and embrace the awkward. I've always said, I mean, it's put yourself in uncomfortable situations. There's no other city that I've been to that's more welcoming here. So I remember when I first went to a NAOP event. NAOP does a quarterly breakfast. It's really good. And I walked in, I knew nobody, literally nobody. And I was catching up with a colleague earlier, just sort of, laughing about the time I came to Nashville 2019, literally clean slate. And I walked into Rob Aiken, and Rob just welcomed me with open arms. And just like literally and figuratively, we had a great conversation. We've become great mates ever since. I mean, I was talking to him on the drive in. It's a great example of just, this is a very welcoming city. It really is. There's no other city that will just, allow you to just enter a conversation midway through, and not to beat up on Dallas, which is the city I was in previously, but you'd go to a NAOP event and there'd be cliques and there'd be, groups that you could talk to and groups that you couldn't talk to. You just don't see that in Nashville, which is awesome. So get plugged in, get to NAOP, get to Crew, get to CRE 615. I give you a plug, Alexa. But these are great tools to just grow your own personal brand. And then on a personal side, I would say this, something that's really helped me sort of grow my professional network, but I've really enjoyed from a social aspect as well, is becoming a breakfast person. A breakfast is really big in the South, and I feel like there's an alignment with sort of the Aussie culture as well. And I mean, those that know me know that I probably single-handedly paid 2 hands rent on 8th Avenue. And there's about to be one open here as well, and I'm pumped for that because I live two blocks that way. But breakfast meetings, I find you just get a bit more of a raw, honest conversation, and you don't get someone who's sort of in lunch mode and had sort of the morning in the office or the morning on the construction site or morning on working on projects, and their mind's already occupied, it's already elsewhere. That breakfast meeting, you just, I don't know, it's a bit more invigorated, the conversation is a bit more natural, you get to know someone a little better, so that would be my advice.
Thank you. And I think you're one of maybe 5 breakfast meetings I've ever gone to
Let's
for
go.
work. And he was willing to meet very early.